Quick note before we start today's video. All the B-roll and this clip as well will be shot on the new iPhone 13 Pro, both in 4K and the new cinematic mode. Since I just took delivery of the phone, I thought it would be a pretty good opportunity to try out and see what this camera can do. So let's get started with the video. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So my name is Jasper. I work full-time as a remote marketing consultant, and today I want to talk a bit about how I plan my week. As an entrepreneur, nobody is really telling me what to do and when to do it. So managing my time and staying productive always has been kind of a challenge to me, but I think that after reading a lot of books about it, one of the main ones that I recently read is Grip. It's from a Dutch writer who basically summarizes a lot of the interesting stuff, all kinds of important books about productivity, and all gathers it together with a layer of his own experience about implementing these things and making sure that he can be the most productive version of himself. After reading all these books myself, including the one that I just mentioned, I think nowadays I'm pretty good at managing my time and staying the most productive version of myself. There are basically two very important parts to my weekly productivity and weekly planning. The first part is my weekly review that I do on a Friday, where I go over everything that I did in the past week, make sure that everything is processed, and I start planning the next week. The second part is the daily review that I do every single working day at the end of my day, and it's something that I got from Ryan Serhant. Your day starts the night before. So every night before you go to bed, you make sure that everything that needed to be done that day is done. If not, you can reschedule it or you can delegate it to someone else. And then you also plan ahead for the next day coming up. First, let's talk about the weekly review. As I mentioned before, this is something that I do every week on Friday. Let's go through the different steps in my weekly review. So first, I go over everything that I did in the past week. All the meetings that I had, all the meeting notes that I have, and all the tasks that were planned to be done this week. I see if there's anything overdue. I make sure that all my meeting notes are processed and all the action items in those meeting notes are also processed. Next up, I give a pretty high priority to my physical activity. Usually this is going to the gym, playing tennis, or going for a walk. This is one of the first things that I plan for the upcoming week. So I look at my schedule and I see where I can plan these things in. If I go to the gym, usually this is at 6 a.m. in the morning. I really like to start my day in a productive manner, and this also gives me a lot of energy for the day ahead. After that, I start scheduling blocks where I do email and project management. This is something that I specifically schedule to make sure that I'm not looking at my email every 5 minutes during my working day, so I can stay focused on the task that I'm working on. This also goes for project management. Because we are working with Asana, we have an inbox where every single item that needs my attention comes up, and this is also something that I process at these times. If there's anything in these emails or for the project management part that can be done in less than 5 minutes, I will usually do it immediately. Other than that, I just plan in the different tasks that need to be done. Usually during the day these go into my inbox, more about that later, to be processed at a later time. Then I will be looking at everything that I have going on for the upcoming week and set my priorities for the week specifically. I try to keep my priorities at 3 priorities for each week. In the past, I have tried having more priorities in a week, but more often than not, you end up spreading your attention way too thin, which really sinks your productivity and you don't get that much done at all. Now I will check all the different tasks that have a due date for the upcoming week. First, I see if there's anything in there that I can delegate to other people on the team. If that's not the case, I start planning them in for my schedule for the upcoming week. For the bigger tasks, I even block out time in my calendar specifically to get that task done, to make sure that I have enough focus time to really spend some productive time in reaching the goal of that specific task. Since I am also working with clients, I try to work with not more than 1 client a day. Sometimes I work for 2 clients a day, but that's really the max. In the past, I tried different systems for this, like batching the different tasks. So for example, if I would be doing Google Ads, I would batch all the different Google Ads tasks that I had for clients on one day. But recently, because I'm more doing strategic work, I noticed that switching clients is way harder because you really need to get in the mindset for that specific client and their specific brand message and goals, that it's better not to work for too many clients in a single day. After that, I will also check if there are any tasks overdue from the past week. I take another look if I really can delegate those tasks to get them done sooner, and if that's not the case, I will just reschedule them for the next week, and I will make sure that these tasks get a higher priority this week so they really get done. Next up, I will check all my inboxes. I basically have 3 inboxes. One in Asana, one in Evernote, and one in Things. Asana is the workspace, the work management tool that we use with the entire team. So anything that needs collaboration with other people usually sits in Asana. Then I have Things, which is my personal task management app, but it doesn't really have collaboration with other people. So it's only for the tasks that are for myself. If it's client related, usually it's only in Asana, but I think one of the more important reasons why I really still like Things is the shortcut that I can use when working on my Mac. So I just can use Control Space whenever I'm working on my Mac to quickly add a to-do and get it out of the way without needing to open the app and then like searching for your inbox, adding it there. Nope, you just do like Control Space, add in the task, enter, and it's gone. And I can just continue working on the task at hand. And then for Evernote, it's basically something that I started using again recently after not having used it for I think about 5 years. In the meantime, I was using mostly Apple Notes for all my notes, but Evernote added some interesting features recently that I really wanted to try out. And after using it for a couple of weeks now, I'm starting to fall in love with it again. Now, for all the different tasks in these inboxes, I will process them, I will add them to the right project, and I will add the due date if necessary. After that, I'll go through my someday list in Things or my later list in Asana to see if there are any tasks that need my attention or that I maybe can schedule in the coming week. Sometimes it also happens that some of these tasks in these categories have already been finished and I can just check them off. Also, a very important part is that some tasks just shouldn't be done anymore. This is actually quite an interesting lesson that I recently learned. Sometimes it's even more important to decide which things that you want to than the things that you will do. It's really a great mindset to make sure that you stay focused on the things that really matter to you and that you stay focused on your top priorities of the things that you want to achieve. And lastly, for the planning part, I will go through all the different projects that we're doing. So this mostly is in Asana, and make sure that everything is on track or if there's anything that needs an update. Sometimes I need to ping someone in the team to make sure that a task that they have been assigned to is really happening or ask if they need any help. But this really is the part where I make sure that I have like the bird's eye view of like all the projects that are going on and that everything stays on track. And then as the very last part of my weekly review, I will basically do some maintenance work, meaning I will go over my goals for the year and see if I'm still on track for those. And then also I'll just clean up my desktop and I'll clean up my downloads folder to make sure that everything is like nice and tidy there as well. Last but not least, let's talk about the daily review. This is something that can be done in about 15 minutes and I usually do it at the end of the day around 9 p.m. First, I'll review everything that has been done that day and I make sure that no tasks that were scheduled for today remain unfinished. Then I'll process my meeting notes and I make sure that any action points in there end up in either Asana or Things, so they can be processed in a later step. Before I had this tab in my daily review, it happened sometimes that during a meeting I jotted down some action items and they would just get lost because I forgot to add them to the system, to add them to any of my inboxes. So to prevent this, I added in this step and ever since this hasn't been an issue anymore. Next, I'll have a look at my Things, Asana and Evernote inboxes to process anything that ended up in there during my working day. This way, everything is processed and all the tasks that are added into those inboxes during the day so that I could stay focused on task now end up in the right projects and get their respective due dates. Next, I'll have a look at my calendar for the next day and I'll make sure that I'm prepared for everything that's scheduled in there. Usually I also look ahead for like 2 to 3 days to make sure that any events in there that need any preparation are all done. In case I forgot anything in there, I still have some time to plan in the preparation for this tomorrow or the next day and really make sure that I'm prepared for everything that's coming up. So this is basically how I plan my work nowadays. I don't think the system is perfect necessarily, but for me right now, the system is working really well. It's something that I've been tweaking now for, I think, 3 to 4 years. And right now, I think I have it set up pretty well for myself to be the most productive version of myself. Let me know if you liked anything in here, or let me know how you are planning your day. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!